You will not. You will absolutely not ever, never, ever, never, ever get all of this stuff right, even if you understand how to do it, until you do it a bunch. So if it's a game that you're going to play a bunch anyway, and you don't want to just get wiped, you know, you figure out that this stuff exists, and then you just try your best to do it in match as best you can. And truthfully, if nothing else, even if you decide not to do all that stuff, it helps to know that, like, I'm not just losing to no nonsense. There's a numerical reason why I lost this shit. And so, at least for me, that helps me not take shit so personally. Cause it's like, all right, well, he did the thing. Okay. He did the thing. I hit the button. All right, it is what it is. You know, when I don't know, when shit just feels nebulous and magic, like it feels like bullshit. I don't like bullshit. I don't like that. I got to know why somebody whooped my ass. All right, well, here it is. Cowabunga it is. All right, let's go over some numbers here. Do a quick primer, because I will definitely be doing freaking Akuma shit for a minute, but that's okay. Let's see. Let's set the dummy to block here. Okay, so I'm just gonna treat this. I'm gonna treat this just like I would breaking down any other new character here. Let's see. Set the dummy to block all. First things I generally want to know is, what buttons can I push that are safe? All right. Generally, your light attacks are always going to be at least safe. Safe meaning I can't be punished. So that's -1, both jabs. They're both 4 frames. That's good. Nice and easy to remember. Crouching light kick is -3, still safe. 5 frames. As is stand light kick, 5 frames, -4. That is punishable. But I think we can hit it from a distance to where it can't be tagged. All right, so if I'm point blank range, yeah, I get hit. But it feels like if I'm any further out, no problem. So, light kick is good. That's going to be an important button. It's not a low. Yeah, we can do stuff like that. All right. Crouching medium kick, that's 8 frames. I think that's the same as Akuma, which is good. That is -6. That is definitely punishable, so we want to use that from the correct distances. That's pretty standard, though, especially in this game. All right. Standing, that's 9 frames. That's a little different. I think Akuma's is like 8 frames. That's okay, and it's not cancelable. That is not cancelable, but it's an excellent poke. I like that it moves them forward now. Good poke. It's a good stop sign button. Okay. Standing medium punch. -1. All right, and his crouching medium punch is neutral. Both are 6 frames. Okay, that's Akuma-like. That's very good. Nah. Combos second. Normals first. Always. Because think about it. I know you're joking, first of all. You know, none of this matters if you're not even pushing your buttons at the right distance. All right, heavy punch. That is -2. That's safe. So that's safe. Safe. Not safe. Barely punishable. But from back here where you're supposed to use it, safe. Spacing trap for sure. Same with this. Spacing trap for sure. This got really good pushback. Noted. And plus. But crouchable. Which is just like Akuma. Yeah, that's good. All right, so there's a lot of similarities here. What is not the same is he's got back heavy punch and forward heavy punch, which is a little different. So I have to be mindful of that so I don't accidentally get solar plexus strike. But if I do, hey, it's +3. Let's see here. All right, sweep is 9 frames. All right, so that's pretty bog standard stuff. Back heavy punch is 7 frames. That's good. That's fast. That's -13. So definitely cancel that into stuff. I'm gonna find some real basic combos so we can hit people decently hard when we hit them. First things first, let's set the dummy to crouch so we can see what actually, I think his Tatsu hits crouching. It does. Hey, all right. All Tatsus hit crouching opponents. Hell yeah. All right. Okay, both standing and light punch are cancelable. Crouching light kick is not cancelable. Standing light kick is cancelable. All right, so that's good. So jab confirms will be a little easier. All right, beautiful. I can combo into Hashogeki. I think The light version is not safe. It is safe. Hell yeah. Oh, this is great. Nice. All right, that's a big deal. Just being able to be safe and pressure people, beat up drive gauge. That's so nice. Such a big deal. Okay, let's see. All right, so medium punch is punishable. Heavy punch is plus. So we got safe, punishable, and plus. Very good. Is Tatsu an overhead? No, Tatsu is not an overhead. Maybe air Tatsu, but again, if you're crouching, I don't think you can make that really hit. That answers that question. It will hit, but you can still block it crouching. Yeah, it looks like forward medium punch. That's an overhead. Notice he stands up real briefly. I think back heavy kick. That is also not an overhead. Yeah, see, he stays crouching. If it's an overhead, you'll see him stand up. If you set the dummy to block all, notice he stands up for like a real quick frame. Boop. That's how you know. Yeah. All right. Obviously any jumping attacks. Those are all overheads. I think the only standing overhead Ryu has is forward medium punch. Yeah, because back heavy kick. It's cancelable. Both hits are cancelable. Hell yeah. Nice. Good question, Dan. Thank you for pointing that out. All right. Looks like medium kick combos into every version of Fireball. What about stand light kick? Stand light kick and a light punch Fireball does not combo. Or medium. Oh yes, it does. Gotta do it really fast though. That might be proximity based too, because there's less travel time. But looks like heavy punch. Heavy punch. Okay, still there is a range at which that will not work. So his Fireball isn't quite as good as Akuma's. I've definitely been spoiled there. We are +6 off of that, so that means I can go. Is this combo? So that hits twice. That combos into itself with Ryu. Yeah. Definitely little nuances. All that stuff matters, and the more of it you understand, like off rip, the less you're having to find out in the middle of a squirrely ass match. So that's why I'm kind of taking the time to like think about stuff now. Think about things I know will probably give me trouble. The beautiful part though, like for the most part, Ryu's pretty simple. Everything this man does hits like a truck. Oh, the Denjin charge. Anytime you're not being hit, like anytime you've got time to actually do it, and you're not worried about getting clipped or shot at with a projectile. Let's see if we can come up with some good setups. I'm glad you brought that up. I think one definite good time to do it. I see people do it after his target chain, which is medium punch, like, oh, that's why I was screwing it. Medium punch, light kick, heavy kick. There, that thing. So like right there. Let's spin this real quick. Also, one cool thing, if you didn't know, like now, like in season 1, like anytime you threw a fireball, you had to spend it. Notice mine is still on. You only spend it if you do the heavy punch fireball or heavy punch hasho. Otherwise, you just get the normal versions. But let's see here. Generally after knockdowns, things of that sort. Maybe not when you're point blank range. Okay, good. You can charge while you're still charged. Without the mountains. Yeah. Ryu's definitely that dude. Truthfully, it was kind of poetic that my friend beat me the way he did with the character he did, because he's absolutely that dude. So, how fast is this? That charge is 52 frames. So, I doubt there's any sort of knockdown we can get that's going to give us 52 frames of advantage. But let's test that theory. So, what we can do is we can set Ed to jab on wake up. Do whatever his fastest thing is. In this case, it would be crouching light punch or standing jab. Let's turn on light punch, because that's faster. What I want to do, we're going to purposefully put ourselves right up next to homie, and we're going to see if we can knock him down, charge, and then block. So I'm going to start with just everybody's favorite knockdown. We'll just do sweep, crouching heavy kick. Oh, didn't turn it on. I did turn it on. Set the block reversal. Let's fix that. There we go. Wake up reversal. There we go. On. Turn that one off. Yeah, see, we got jabbed. All right. Obviously, from further out. Oops, still got tagged. Okay. So, spacing-wise, off of a normal sweep. If we sweep from max range, we can sneak one in against some characters. I fashion a guess. In fact, let's do this. Let me pick somebody with a better jab. Let's do Akuma's. He's got a great stand jab. And it's 4 frames. Maybe after EX Tatsu. Yeah, definitely there. Because it knocks him far away. Definitely that. But honestly, man, you want to try to do it, like, spending meter's great. Like, that should give you that sort of opening, right? You want to find out how to do it as inexpensively as possible. That's why I'm starting with sweep. You want to start with big moments in time where your opponent can't do anything, which is when they're generally getting up off the ground. So good to know. We'll store that one away. But let's see if we can, let's see what else we get it off of. Let's see, any throws. So we know sweep is dodgy. Jab. Jab. All right, there's a range. It's not so like that's a maybe. That's like if you just know you hit him from like way back there, you can probably sneak one in and be fine. But off of throws. Yeah. Throws are maybes. Let's see here. Forward throw. Definitely not forward throw. I want to be on the right side. There we go. Depending upon what you got to kind of like eyeball your opponent to see if they're going to do anything wily from back there, or if they've got super meter. A lot of times you have to spend meter, it seems, in order to guarantee that. On the corner, probably want to do something a little different. You just hit him. Speaking of Tatsus, let's check the other Tatsus. Okay, you're point blank. Maybe not the best time to do that. Let's have him do something that's is a little bigger. Let's see. First we'll have to damage. Let's set this to. Let's do Akuma's medium kick. Oh, the charged what? The charged fireball, the charged Hashogeki. Well, I'll just show you both. So let's see here. We'll do since we're already charged, we'll just do a heavy fireball. So that was 800 damage. Regular one is 600 damage. So it does 200 more damage. But here's the thing. You're not doing it to necessarily do way more damage. You're doing it because it's like a free EX fireball. It's super fast and it hits twice. Heavy punch fireball's pretty fast. You know, like that's light punch. That's heavy punch. That's fast as shit. That's really hard to react to. Most people will try to jump that and get clipped. Even from all the way across the screen. So any closer than that, just being able to threaten with that, you know, is excellent. Yeah, that's a big deal. That's a big deal. That's really what that's all about. I think it makes Hashogeki better too. Yeah, it makes it hit twice. Or rather, I think it gives you, I think it might be safer on block. We'll set dummy to block all. Let's see. So heaviest +2. So you get another frame of advantage. Let's see what else that gives you. That's good, by the way. That's a big deal because that makes your medium attacks guaranteed frame traps. Guaranteed. It's less about fear. Like there are practical applications. Like case in point. So speaking of that, like one additional frame of block advantage doesn't seem, it's like, yeah, big whoop. It's +3 instead of +2. Okay, cool. But check this out, right? So if we set the dummy, to block, turn that's off. We set the dummy to light punch. That's 4 frames, right? I'm gonna throw heavy punch Hashogeki, which is +2. I'm gonna push stand medium punch right after it. So boom, boom, boom. Notice that's traded, right? The reason that traded is because I'm +2. I am able to respond 2 frames quicker than Akuma can, even if he's doing whatever he's doing as quickly as possible. Basically, what that means is that the next button you push after that thing that made you +2, in this case, the Hashogeki, you shave 2 frames off of however fast it is on startup. I hit medium punch. Medium punch, see where it says startup down there on top of that bar, 6 frames? You basically subtract 2 from that, however many frames you're plus, and it's a 4-frame button. So I hit his 4-frame jab with my now 4-frame medium punch and got the trade. So I win the trade because I got more damage. Great, cool. Now, a charged up Hashogeki is +3. So if you literally do the math here, my medium punch, if I time this right, should win. If you notice, if you look down at the bar, there's a black box right before the teal on the top bar. That means I missed that input by 1 frame. Each of those little blocks is a frame. So my numbers, my math was right. My input was 1 frame too slow. So let's try that again. If I time it absolutely right, I should win this exchange. Bam. Perfect. There you go. But really, so I'm doing that because that's basically a 1-frame punish. I can still hit a jab or something like that and make life a lot easier for myself. Okay, if it'll make the 6-frame button a 3-frame button, if we follow the math, then it will make this 5-frame button a 2-frame button, which is essentially unbeatable because there's nothing that no character has a 2-frame attack, you know? So, see, I got the counter hit. That means he pushed the button, his button started up, and it didn't matter. I hit him before it could even come out. In that particular circumstance, off of this, it still works because no character has a 3-frame attack. So there's nothing he can do. Even with the 2 frames of advantage, 5 minus 2 is 3, basically makes this button a 3-frame button. So that's kind of like baby's first frame trap stuff. And when you understand that, you can really put together some diabolical shit. And it becomes kind of second nature after a while. You do it so often, you just know the sequence. You're not doing mathematics in the middle of a match. In the training mode, you're setting these situations up. You go, numerically this should work. Does the spacing work though? Because sometimes the numbers look like the math is correct, but the shit don't reach, which, kind of makes it a moot point. That's why you figure this stuff out here in training mode. You figure out your couple sequences that work. So now, based upon that, seeing how good Heavy Punch Hashogeki is, trying to find sequences that give you Heavy Punch Hashogeki are going to be monumentally strong. So that's probably like the first bit of scum and villainy I'm going to be trying to come up with here. I want at least one sequence that I can do off of some sort of knockdown, a sweep or something, where I can engineer a situation where my opponent has to deal. They just got to block the Heavy Punch Hashogeki. So how we do that, we first got to know how fast the dang move is. So it starts up in 30 frames. For reference, Light Punch Hashogeki starts up in 12 frames. So it's more than double the length. He does the big old windup. So you got to have a big old chunky knockdown in order to get that automatically. So let's see if we can engineer this. I think I will set Akuma to jab on wake up. So let's go to reversal settings. We'll turn block reversal off. We'll set this to light punch and turn that on. That way, when he gets up off the ground, he'll just throw a jab. That way we'll know if we got it right. Potentially. Because if it hits, cool. But if it doesn't hit, either way, we're good. That's what you want. You want situations where it's like, oh, it hit him? Oh, bet. I'm going to hit him really fucking hard. Oh, it didn't hit him? No problem. I'm completely safe, at least. Better if you're plus, which is why, this is so important. Definitely better in the corner. But if we can engineer it mid-screen, you want to at least try. Because think about how powerful that is. You know, being able to do that to somebody mid-screen. Now, it'll probably be one of those situations where a smart person can back roll it and it kind of nullifies that and it puts me in a bad spot. We'll figure that out in just a moment here. First things first, we want to see if we can just even make this work at all, because hard knockdowns, you can't back roll. So let's see if we can engineer hard knockdowns first. That's a hard knockdown. He can't back roll that, I don't think. Let me double check. Let's see here. Recovery. Let's see if he'll back recover this. Aha. Aha. Notice. Okay, so that's a big deal. Hard knockdowns, you can't back roll. So you are stuck in place. That's why you start with those first. Any move that your character has, where you're trying to set up some, they call it okizeme or wake up, and it's Japanese for essentially just getting up off the ground. We call it oki for short. And it's just stuff that you do after you've knocked your opponent down that allows you to maintain pressure safely, ideally. So knock them down. It looks like I have a 45 frame advantage. Ha ha ha. So that was a sweep. Let's see. Let's try from further out. It's hard to time. So that appears to work. Actually, hang on. Let me turn this off real quick. Universal settings. We'll turn that off just for a moment. I want to get the pure numbers. 32 frames. Okay, that's what I thought. I thought 45 was a bit much. It's because he was throwing the jab. Because it changes the numbers. It's because it's reading like how the numbers play out based upon the very last thing you did. So if the Akuma gets knocked down and just gets up, 32 frames of advantage, which is perfect. Perfect, right? Why is it perfect? It is perfect because this move is 30 frames fast. So if I sweep him and I'm able to act exactly 30 frames before he can act, then he can only do something that he can respond with in 2 frames. So there is a gap. Now, here's the thing. The gap allows him to be hit, which is why the setup even works in the first place. The only thing that will beat that scenario is if the Akuma he spins OD bar, drive gauge to do an invincible DP, right? Because it doesn't matter that the move takes longer than 2 frames to start up. It's invincible. Here, let's just see how invincible that move is. We'll set wake up. We'll do special moves. We'll do go shoryuken. We'll do OD, go shoryuken, right? We'll turn that on. It did not take. I'll show you. There we go. So now I'm gonna do the same thing. And because go shoryuken, I think it's invincible for at least like 4 to 6 frames. Let me see if I can 5 frames. It's got 5, that little white chunklet down towards the end there. The bar can be a little confusing to read at first, but anytime you see the white and gray horizontal lines, that means whatever you did is completely invulnerable for those however many frames. So it's got 5 frames of invulnerability. So it didn't matter. It didn't matter. I think that move, it starts up like in 9 frames, but he's invincible while my attack was coming out, right? So that's a checkmate. If he's got meter, I'm gonna lose that exchange if he chooses to spin that meter. Same thing with supers. Any of the supers that have invulnerability will win. In fact, this is actually a really good time to test this. Hashigeki, I'm pretty sure, is a projectile. What I don't know is how that works with against, like, Akuma's level 1 super is only invulnerable to physical hits, not projectiles. So let's set him to do that and see which one wins. Let's see here. Super Arts. Mesatsu Gohado. All right, same scenario. I'm gonna do the same exact setup. I'm gonna do heavy Hashigeki, and we're gonna see which one of these wins. All right, so it treats it like a physical attack, not a projectile. The reason that is, No, it's better than armor. Armor in this game, you still take some damage. It's white damage that you can build back. And vulnerability, stuff like OD Shoryuken, like 5 frames of invulnerability on that, right? You can't be hit, you can't be thrown, you can't be touched. If your opponent did anything other than block, they are getting checked in the face, period. Unless they do something invincible through your invincible move. Then they just kind of clash and like they just kind of go through each other for the amount of time until one of them becomes either active or you know, they're just like, oh, neither of them are active. Oh God. Here, let me see if I can illustrate this. Case in point. See if I can do it later. All right. So the reason he got hit is because he did his earlier than I did mine. So his invincibility ran out while mine was still in effect there. So I just invincible through his invincible move. You got a small window. 5 frames isn't a lot of time, which is why when you're using those moves, you want to do them as late as possible, especially against jump ins. Now, here's a cool thing about these characters like Ken, Ryu, and Akuma. Moves like jumping attacks. Here, I'm gonna see if I'm gonna set Akuma to just like neutral jump and throw like a heavy kick here. When you are anti-airing, like if somebody's jumping at you and you use your regular dragon punches, any of the regular ones, you will win as long as you hit with the startup frame. You see where that red chunk is on the bar there? By the way, if you ever want to know like the details of this, if you go to simple training settings, go down to the frame meter in U, it explains what all those different colors mean. Not super intuitive, but you play with it enough and like they do about as good a job as they can with what they got. But just know your dragon punches against jumping or anything in the air, it doesn't matter what they're doing in the air. If you hit them with a Shoryuken and with the very first frames of it, you win. It doesn't matter. It does not matter what you're doing. Yeah, there's a lot of colors. But it does help you understand what you're looking at when you're looking at the frame meter bar down there, because that is the best part of this training mode. Just bar none, hands down. So now I'll illustrate a little bit here. Let's see here. Let's set recording settings, pick a slot, and then I like to set recording trigger to on input. That way it'll wait for me to actually do what I'm going to do. You can set a countdown if you want. Sometimes that's helpful. And then you pick a slot. So right now, see what it says, slot 2 preparing. It won't do anything. It won't start recording until I actually do anything. All I want to do now, I'm going to jump forward with Akuma and throw heavy punch. And I'm going to jump backwards. And then crouch block. And the reason I crouch block, I generally do that just case in point. If I were trying to punish Akuma like Tatsu, I can set him do the Tatsu and then hold down back to make sure that I'm not clipping the Akuma when he's just standing there doing literally nothing. So now that's set. So now we go over to replay and we'll turn that off. We'll turn the second slot. We'll leave that on. So now he'll just set to always repeat playback. He'll just cycle through. Jump forward, heavy punch, jump back. Jump forward, heavy punch, jump back. As soon as you hit start replay. Here we go. Just a counter hit. You see counter hit, that means they threw an attack at you. And it don't matter. Bam. It will not lose as long as you time the move right. Now you can do it early. And like sometimes if your opponent throws an attack up really high, you know, either they made a mistake or they were really like on some 3D chess shit. They're like, this guy likes to DP, so I'm going to throw my attack super early when I jump so I can just hit him in the face for some reason. You know, some people will do stupid shit like that. If that happens, there will be times where your Dragon Punch will lose in weird situations like that. But general rule of thumb, do it as late as possible, because from the very first frame, that Dragon Punch against airborne stuff will just win. So you want to like, and that goes for Ryu, that goes for Ken, any character that has a Dragon Punch, that goes for Jamie's like little breakdance kick thing, flash kicks. Blanca up ball, DJ up kick, Cammy's cannon spike, all of that shit, the same rules apply. There's only a handful of moves that don't. I think even Lily's might. I think Lily's also follows that same regard. There are a handful of moves that don't, but they're pretty standout. Most moves that work this way, they just do. That's just how they do. So yeah, just food for thought. Anytime you're playing a character with a Dragon Punch, that's how you want to treat those. When if you're trying to anti-air, it doesn't matter which version you use, but you want to do it as late as possible. Like that. Like you said, it looked like his hand was almost going through me. That's what you want. That's the sweet spot. All right. So we found out that off of a hard knockdown, you get heavy Hashogeki. Hashogeki that will lose if an opponent chooses to spin meter. So maybe a good strategy would be to not do that against an opponent until you check their meter first. If you can take that hit, because that's all it is, it's going to be one hit. If you can take that hit and the setup would otherwise kill them, maybe you try it. If you're going to die if they do that ODDP, don't do it, baby. don't even do it. Let's figure out another hard knockdown situation. I think throws are not hard knockdowns. Back throw. Wait a minute. Oh, I see. Good to know. I'm glad I did that. So from back here, Tatsu can definitely whiff over an opponent's head. Oh, there's a bit of a sweet spot. Okay. No, that's not too bad. That's pretty forgiving. That's really forgiving. Okay. So you gotta be really egregious. You're like, so okay. So don't wish punish with Tatsu from back there unless you know, like you see for sure they're throwing a fireball or something. Noted. Okay. All right. So that was a lot of jaw jacking. So back throw. We don't really get a lot off back throw. Puts them full screen, but that's okay. Especially if they back rise. He doesn't back rise. What is that? Where does that leave him? Cover in place. Back throw. That might not be a bad time to do that, especially if they back row. If they back row, you're full screen if they back rise. Definitely get your charge in. Let's see here. Forward throw. What does that leave us? We're in their face. 17 frames. Advantage. So a lot of times what you'll see people try after a forward throw is they'll try to dash up. Now, there's a really, really quick and easy way to see whether that's a good idea or not. You throw them. So I'm plus 17 after the throw. So Akuma he's waking up 17 frames after, and he'll be able to act. Now, if I dash up, looks like Ryu's dash is 19 frames. I can dash up and be safe because I'll be what, -2 or 3? Let's see here. -2. So I can be safe, but if I push a button, even if I push my fastest buttons, my 4-frame button is now a 6-frame button. It's best if you're going to commit to dashing up after light punch throw, or after forward throw rather, don't push nothing. Otherwise, let's see what else we got here. 17 frames. What do we have that's around that fast? Ooh, all right. Solar plexus strike is 20 frames. So that means, let's set the dummy to wake up jab. Aha. All right. That's what I wanted to see. So this is 20 frames. I'm plus 17. So what do we do when we're plus? You subtract that number, however many frames you're plus, from the very next thing you do. So that is 20 frames fast, and we're plus 17. So basically it turns this 20 frame move into a 3-frame move, which he can do nothing about except do something risky and invincible through it, which if I know that, I'm just going to block like this. If you notice that your opponent likes to do wild shit after your setups that you know, or that you understand the math. That's why it's important to like at least understand, like, I'm plus here and I'm not doing anything because I'm plus. Get fucked. And now he's dead. Because he couldn't not just sit on the ground. And you see that a lot in lower ranks too, when people start figuring out the OD moves go through shit. They're like, hell yeah, fuck you. I'm going through all your bullshit. I don't give a damn. And you're like, cool, thanks, bet. That's why it's good to know stuff like this. So, off of a forward throw, solar plexus strike. And if you wanna, when you're practicing that sort of stuff, come here to reversal settings and set your opponent to light punch, something that's like 4 frames. That way, you can make sure you got the timing right. Because if you don't, you'll get hit in the face. If you do, you'll get a counter hit. And you're plus 8 off of that. So let's see, what's 8 frames? That's 9 frames. That's 9 frames. It's 9 frames. Ah, that's 7 frames. That'll work. That'll work. Or yeah, listen, you can do that into that, if nothing else. Yeah. Keep it simple, something like that. That's kind of higher level shit, counter hits and all that stuff, like learning to like kind of pepper all that stuff in. But it's super important as you start getting better to understand and be able to engineer situations like that. Because boy, oh boy, can you really scare the shit out of people when you do something like that and they get knocked down and they're like, I'm just gonna do some shit. And they're like, you're like, oh cool, thanks, you did the shit. Oh, I appreciate you, baby, thanks. Thanks, baby. Oop, oop. And now they're just getting peppered with hits and they don't understand why. Well, you sure do, you know, because you can continue setting up situations where you do something like that and then you just keep leading into things that leave you plus. Because remember, things on hit generally are plus for you. Generally, not always, but like this is plus 2, right? So you can push a jab after that or this after that. And if they pushed anything other than an invincible button, like OD Dragon Punch or something like that, they're getting hit. So smart opponents will start to block. And what do you do when they block? You yeet them and then you start the cycle over again. Right? You know, so you can sequence your stuff like that to where you can throw them. Bam, 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 you know, shit like that, you know. Bam into that. That's 2 frames. That's plus 2 on hit. That's light Hashogeki. Medium Hashogeki is 2. Heavy's a knockdown. Let's see. You know, I gotta figure out all like that sort of shit. But like, yeah, that's when you start just beating the hell out of people. When you the players, the sooner you learn how to do stuff like this to people, the sooner you just start to kind of like just take off in a ranked, you know. Frame traps and meaty setups and things like that are crucial to beating opponents who are more advanced. And that's usually how it starts. You just have, because you don't need a bunch of these, you just need 1 or 2. You know, we found off a sweep, you get that. And off of throw, you get that. You got to time it right. But that's what the lab is for, right? You just do it until like the rhythm is in your hands. You know, and now suddenly that dude lost a third of his life because he pushed 1 too many buttons. You know, it's simple. It's not easy. It's simple, and it gets simpler when you know how to do it with one character. You can kind of engineer this stuff with all of them. I stress that it is simple to do. It is not easy to do because you got to practice the timing, because your timing has to be perfect. Not literally perfect because the game has buffers and stuff. So I'm not like literally like, oh, there's like a frame difference. There's buffers, there's like 3 or 4 frames. The game's got some leeway, but you know, if you can play DDR or anything that's got any sort of semblance of rhythm, you know, you kind of learn to feel the rhythm. Just like doing link combos and stuff like that, you know. Da, da, da. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's why You know, this stuff is complex, but once you understand the rules and all this stuff and how this works, you can apply so much to not just other characters in this game, but this shit, it's all math. The numbers are different. Like case in point, like Street Fighter V had 3-frame normals. The fastest normal button in this game is 4. So the math was the same, like the algorithms or whatever, all that stuff was the same, but the difference was you just shifted things over 1 frame. You know, instead of looking for 4-frame setups being kind of like the holy grail, 3-frame setups were. You know, and the stuff it applies in Tekken too, in situations where like you're playing Tekken or whatever, and you do a move with like your character of choice. If they got a move that's +2, and you know, like let's say I think the fastest moves in that game are like 8 frames. Same exact concept, except the numbers are just a little different. If you figure out what your baseline numbers are, like what is your fastest thing that you can do without spending meter? What is the fastest thing you can do if there is meter to spend? And then like, all right, what violates that? Like OD moves, violate that stuff. You know, sometimes things that have armor can kind of violate that stuff. But so generally it's like fastest move, how plus can you even be? You know, that goes with knowing like your character's move set and stuff like that. But in this game, it's pretty simple because outside of Drive Rush makes things more plus. Drive Rush is like, numerically, it's like getting a counter hit that you engineered yourself. So case in point, right? So, well, let's do jab. So jab is 4 frames fast and it's 4 frames of advantage on hit, right? I'm going to Drive Rush in and I'm going to do that jab. 8 frames. It will always add 4 additional frames of advantage. That's 11, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 4 additional frames. That is 4 frames of advantage there. +8. There you go. So when you hit, it's different on block. It's a little different, but the idea is the same. Let's see here. Let's set the dummy to block. And they did that on purpose because, you know, you don't always just want to be like, spending meter is good, but you don't want, some things would get really stupid if they didn't tune it a little bit. But generally, if you land a hit off of Drive Rush, whatever number that move is normally on hit, like if it's +4, it'll be +8. If it's +7, it'll be +11, yada, yada, so on and so forth. And you can use that to build very specific combos. Like, let's see here. Usually characters have at least 1 button that's like best. So that like, Ryu stand jab is such a good button. It feels kind of dinky and short. It's really good for whiff punish and stuff. So, but also when you land it, you're +7, dog. So you can do that. That's back heavy punch. You can, for instance, it's a tricky link, but it's worth learning because you can do shit like that. Now, this is 7 frames on hit. That's 11. Now, what buttons do I have that are 11 frames or faster? Fierce Punch, that's 10 frames. Startup, and now we're talking about startup. That's 11 frames. So now you start to think about the startup of the next thing that you're going to do. Like case in point. So like that was 11 frames. We know this is 10 frames. That's a button we could use. That's 9 frames. That's a button we could use. That's 12 frames. That's too slow. It's got to be either the exact number of frames in order for it to combo. It's got to be like, if you're +11, it's got to be 11 frames or faster. By faster, I mean like 10, 9, 8, 7. Like literally smaller numbers equals faster in that circumstance. Let's see here. You could do sweep if you wanted to. So yeah, looks like heavy punch. Easy peasy. All right, so you can do shit like, since this combo's twice, this should work. It does. So jab. So medium punch, drive rush into heavy punch. We're using that frame advantage to get that off, and that is +4. So I mean, at that point, you're +4. Oh no, excuse me, you're +8 off of that. I forgot because it treats it like a counter hit. Let's see if I can make this work. All right. Oh, that's 9 frames. That's why that wasn't working. Okay, so I think I got an idea. There we go. Case in point. You're just kind of using the math to inform your combos, but once you know the combo, you know that it works. You don't got to think about the math. So you really only got to worry about the numbers when you're building the combos or building your sequences to be, you know, frame traps and stuff like that. But once you know what they are, fuck the numbers. Don't think about that shit. You will eventually know that, like, this button is safe. This button is not. You know. But yeah. Brother, well, that's fair. I appreciate that. Also, hey, what's up, my boy? But you do this in stages. You don't just hop in like, I will now download all of this wild ass information. You find out a couple little rinky dink things. Only reason I'm saying all this right now is because I'm sitting here doing it and thinking about it. You know, and I can chop it up into content later. Let's be real. But it's evergreen. This stuff just, it works. It works for any, if you did want to play a fighting game and you didn't want to just get washed and scummed out by the wild boys who are going to be like lurking around and like sort of like the middle ranks, then this is how you can do it. And brother, you play Souls games. This is exactly the same energy. I don't want to hear that. At least here you got numbers you can figure out. You know, you can figure out how to engineer somebody's demise. But I can certainly appreciate not want to go through all this. It's a lot. It takes a special breed of person to want to sit in the lab and do this stuff. I find it kind of interesting and fascinating personally, but it's not for everybody. Some people just go and they bang it out in ranked, man, and they figure it out as they go. I can't live like that. I was a kid growing up that read the instruction booklet. While everybody else was sitting there trying to figure out how to program the VCR. I was like, well, hold up. You just push the button, just push the send, and then 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and then. Bro, that was before we knew all this stuff. I didn't learn all this stuff until like further on down the line. But yeah. But yeah, even that game, you can still, all that stuff still applies, you know. It's just those older games didn't really give you the numbers. So, you know, now they know that the players like to have the option to be able to figure this stuff out. So rather than having somebody engineer some seedy back alley program to kind of break the game and open this shit up so you can see these numbers, they're like, here, just take them. People are going to figure them out anyway. All right, and I'm going to keep it a buck with you. I'm going to hop in ranked here in just a few minutes. I'm going to forget all of this shit. I'm going to forget every single bit of this. I'm going to begin relying on Street Fighter 2 tactics because I know how to fireball and throw dragon punches and tatsus and shit like that. I will try. I will attempt to do some of this shit. I will fail miserably, okay? And that's the key. You will absolutely not ever get all of this stuff right, even if you understand how to do it, until you do it a bunch. So if it's a game that you're going to play a bunch anyway, and you don't want to just get wiped, you know, you figure out that this stuff exists, and then you just try your best to do it in match as best you can. And truthfully, if nothing else, even if you decide not to do all that stuff, it helps to know that, like, I'm not just losing to no nonsense. There's a numerical reason why I lost this shit. And so, at least for me, that helps me not take shit so personally. Cause it's like, all right, well, he did the thing. Okay. He did the thing. I hit the button. All right, it is what it is. You know, when I don't know, when shit just feels nebulous and magic, like it feels like bullshit. I don't like bullshit. I don't like that. I got to know why somebody whooped my ass. All right. I'm going to go and do some ranks.